want to
Okay.
talk about the the difference. I want to talk about navigating today's music scene, right? I run it. 78% of all the kids we see want to go into sports and entertainment. And when I meet young people that want to go into music, I always tell them, man, it's more of a right now thing than it ever was before. Like, you don't have as many barriers and restraints as you used to have, right? And so I definitely want to get your take on navigating today's music scene, almost like advice to any of the people that might be listening with some aspirations. But before we get there, I want to talk about just hip hop as a whole, man. Hip hop as a whole, artistry as a whole. I know it's a crazy time right now. I tell people all the time, if I go get my PhD, I want to get my PhD on hip hop's influence on culture and the economy. Reason that I think that hip hop is hip hop is the most influential art form in the world, and I think sometimes its influence is vastly underrated. So if you talked about like hip hop in comparison to kind of what's going on in the last month, 60 days, 100 days in our country, how important do you think hip hop is, or what role can it play? And have you found yourself using that in any way, shape, or form?
Um, I agree with you, but I argue.
You breaking up? We losing you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I'll probably have to just hold the phone, but I mean, I agree with you about the influence, the level of influence that say hip hop has, but I'm just one of them people that I guess I could argue either way because I grew up and traditionally I feel like hip hop is rap primarily, but hip hop has always been such an expressive, outspoken art form. Like
Hmm.
as far back as I can remember, like you think NWAs, you think of Public Enemy, and just to cite a few, from a different era that always like spoke out, that always was a voice of the times, and hip hop was almost the urban news, like a news form, and of course it's transcended to big business, the biggest, and it's a lot more money in this, and thus a lot more hands in it. I question if hip hop at large, like every hip hop artist is supposed to necessarily like be that voice, or I think in its own way, like I said, because that's the legacy of it, maybe
Sure.
it's supposed to, but then I argue that maybe every person that has a voice within this may not be the proper voice to speak for, everybody. I think at a certain point, a lot of people's success detaches them from what's real and what's, going on, like maybe at a ground level, or even, I always question what agendas are at play. Like, cause there's a lot of stuff, even within hip hop, that I don't necessarily agree with, or the way it's brought to the masses, or some of the things that are made like front and center, so to say. So if those same vessels, I don't want to say messengers, because they ain't like really attacking nobody personally. Sometimes I think it might be a corporate entity behind it, or some puppet master kind of thing, like where you follow the money, and
Exactly.
that's why that stuff is way more popular. So I don't. I also like link side of, is it somebody personal responsibility because they in whatever position or they have this platform. It's like peer pressure. I feel like if somebody is compelled or feel addicted to speak out, more power to them using this to do that. I like when it's true, when your intention's pure and whatnot. Like I rock with those people that advocate, artists advocate for reform, and a lot of like just causes. Now, of course, with the current climate and stuff, and the ones that speak out, and seeing some of the biggest artists, kind of taking it and making them kind of statements. But then I'm like, I would feel real weird if I felt like somebody was doing it just for the hustle of it, 'cause it's a trending topic. Well, let me just throw my name in. I said something too, or whatever. So
Exactly.
even for somebody like, I mean, I've been quiet as it is, just at large, just the priority of life itself has been kind of superseded the rap world. I'm saying hip hop. So, I mean, I am who I am. I feel like I know what I do. That's just a space I out to. Um, yeah, I get in the car and well, never mind. It's good experience of like black man, a
For
style
sure.
that is it a whole nother thing. I think with the influence, yeah, we're more able to spark that conversation or like I say, even the money we create. But then it's kind of give and take because a lot of times it's one of those same large companies or I mean, I know you look at things from a different viewpoint. And like I said, you follow the money. Sometimes where the money's coming from ain't necessarily going to be in line with that progressive revolutionary stance that hip hop might be known for. And I
For
mean,
sure.
that's almost sad to say because I don't think every person with a platform is in position to control their own narrative.
So I'm gonna switch gears, man, because as I was looking at it again as the day was going by, man, a lot of people hit me. I see a lot of people in the comments, man, and I see a lot of people have taken to the grind hard moniker and really made it like a way of life. You know what I mean? Really made it something they believe in. So much so to maybe tattoo it on them or change it to the IG hashtag. And I remember for those of y'all that again we talk I've been doing stuff for a very long time. And so I remember you screaming grind hard away, right? And I think about that now for the terms of like the foresight that happened and like being able to scream that and keep that relevant this long. Talk specifically about those two words and kind of what they mean to you and your and your mission, you know what I mean, and why you think kind of fans was able to gravitate to that. So, because I look at it like it seems so simple when you think about it, but for somebody to be able to own them two words for as long as you've been able to own it, man. Talk to me a little bit about just grind hard, where it came from, how it lasted this long. Look, they going crazy. Grind hard.
Um, it's like you said, a way of life or a way of thinking. It started in East Nashville. It started from I don't even want to dumb it down and make it any less than what it was to say like it came from the block or a block mentality, but in a lot of ways like that's very true. But also like from an aspirational standpoint, it's like I don't think I don't think anybody really forced into a certain way of life or anybody in a certain way of life like truly like want to be there, want to stay there. It's a lot of times like so even the spirit of hustling, and I don't just mean like illegally or
For
to
sure.
focus on that part of it, but like a hustler's mentality is like about to come up. It's about coming up, so to say, and that's that's where I was. That's where I still am. Like I wake up, go to sleep on that, and at the time, I say my homie Gene back in the day had as much to do with like branding. What I mean? We was around each other every day. Like that was what it was. And as far as the music, like I was just looking at the first compilation or mixtape or, however it was at the time. It was like branding yourself, like the value of branding. It's like that was it hit, it stuck. And you just, like you said, to this day, I mean, taking it somewhere else it's mind blowing to me to see how people attach to it, gravitate to it, but that it just speaks to I guess like mindedness because and being true to it. Even what you were talking about as far as the website, like it's all hustling. Like I said, when I figure out you can post up, we got this imaginary real estate in the digital realm. It's like if I can set up my trap anywhere, like that's
Sure.
why wouldn't I? You know what I mean? Like we come from
Sure.
being in one spot, having a spot, or being posted up here, and it might get ran hot, and we might not be able to be right here tomorrow, or like if we move around, well, so having that kind of terrain to work from, like it's a dream, you know, as a hustler, and like being forward thinking, like understanding that I think I'm here and being able to survive in a ever changing game because on my willingness to evolve. Like I feel like that's what hustling is all about, is adapting, being adaptive, adapting to the changes, and I mean just the whole grind hard thing. Like logo never changed. You know, like shout out to Becky, Be Exclusives, who's still working. You know, still does graphic work for me, artwork and otherwise, and even from that, from her airbrushing T-shirts in her kitchen, what we went on that first cover to where it's gone. Technology's changed and so much has changed, but certain things, including ethics, when they stay the same, I mean, I think that's what's real. That's when it's true. I think that's what people embrace about it.
True, true, true. I just, it's interesting to hear from that perspective because we got the dreams come true every day, Monica, and I think when we put that out in the beginning, it was cool. And I remember my partner hit me one day, and the Be the Dream Monica kind of came, and I realized just from like small stuff like merch sales and the way it was responded to in sessions that when we made it an action statement, it changed the whole dynamic of the meaning, right? And I think that was one of the things that was
Yeah,
so powerful about Grind Hard. It was like, just do it for the streets. You know what I'm saying? It was like, grind hard. It's something you can do. You know what I mean? And so Be the Dream was kind of that. Because when I first started, it was like, yo, dreams come true every day. But then kids look at me like, what do that mean? And then it kind of evolved for just people. Like, whatever your dream is, you got to be it. Like, be it. And of course, the grind hard is the action. But I always love that. And we even challenge young people today in our sessions that you got to have that kind of model that you can repeat in your head throughout life. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, grind hard has been that for me growing up. But like I said, as I saw people tapping in today, or if I'm riding and I hear people say it, or like I see the visual, it's like, man, that energy lasted for a while, and I think that's pretty tight. I think that's pretty tight. So we're gonna switch gears, man. The third thing we want to talk about, man, is what half the people here probably want to hear about, man, is music, man. What's your music life like right now, man? What we got going?
um,
Have you been creating? Have you thought about creating soon? You got a J. Cole single that's gonna hit for us right somewhere? Like what is it?
I'm mixing some music right now. Um, I'm mixing. I got the real MVP right here. My mixing engineer. He's on pins and needles.
See,
So I got Kevin. Um, he's on pins and needles probably to finalize these few mixes. Man, I don't want to drop a dime on myself because I think there's power in discretion, and you know I'm one of them move in silence, make a bunch of noise kind of people.
for
But
sure.
that's certainly how I'm on it right now, and I don't know. You probably could tell just probably by me even smiling that I got some I got some things going on, but I just don't. I mean, I'm here to talk, so it's weird to say, but I don't really want to talk about it. I'm just like you said, it's about the action, you know.
For sure, for
Um,
sure. So don't
but